Okay, guys, what's happening? Just a major news update on Ukraine. I was talking about this tonight about an escalation happening on many different fronts, and look what just happened. So now they're shooting Kinzhal missiles, hypersonics. There's the Polish has scrambled their, which is NATO, has basically scrambled at the highest alert level. F-16s and everything else. They're all preparing right now for something. It is going down. So we're going to kind of go through some of the information with you guys. And this is a late night alert, 10, a little after 10 p.m. on Saturday. This would be West Coast time, Pacific Standard Time. And so I just wanted to do a little update on this and let everybody know what's happening. So here we go. Let's go ahead and go to the Telegram page. And make sure you're subscribed to our Telegram page, because that's where all the breaking news happens before I even come on the live stream. So this is potentially a huge escalation because they're not waiting for Trump. Believe me, everybody is going to be making moves right now. And if Trump even gets in, I'll be surprised with all the chaos that's going to break out. But who knows? Maybe he is the man of peace that will bring stability, love, and no war to the world. But I guess it doesn't look like Putin is waiting for Trump, because he just up and escalated this hugely. So let's go ahead and look at what's going on here. Let me take a look here before I push this down here. I just got to make sure I got the right feed here. Sorry. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at this. So what just happened? 16 missiles of the Russian armed forces are heading towards western Ukraine. This is happening as we speak. 13 of them through the Cherkasky and Vinnytsia regions on the western course. We've got some info on that from channels that are there. Hypersonic missiles fired from Kiev. Oh my goodness. Or fired against Kiev. I'm sorry. I was going to say if they were fired from from the U.S. backside, that would be pretty bad news. But the Russians are firing hypersonics right at this moment. Hypersonic missiles, KH-101s in the direction of Lviv Oblast. Explosions in Kiev. Kinzhal in the direction of Kiev, and this is I think these are hypersonics. Let me see if that's a Kinzhal is a hypersonic. I'm pretty sure it's a hypersonic missile. Yeah, it's a Russian hypersonic air-launched ballistic missile. So this actually was launched from jets, jet fighters, maybe even bombers. I don't know. More hypersonic missiles have been fired. More hypersonic missiles. Another wave of ballistic missiles fired from Tambuv. So this is a major escalation from Russia. Ukrainian channels report that 6 MiG-31Ks are airborne. Scenes from Odessa, Ukraine. Residents of Odessa report power outages and no access to water. Explosions in Dnipro. This is Ukraine, Krivoy Rog, Ukraine. Emergency power outages are happening in multiple oblasts of Ukraine, Kiev, Kiev, and he said it twice. Oh, Kiev Oblast, Donetsk Oblast, and this is where the power plant is. I guess the nuclear power plant is in it. I can't even pronounce it. Emergency power outages are in effect at the direction of the Ukraine Renergo. I'm not Russian, so obviously, or Ukrainian, I can't pronounce these words here, but there is power outages all over. Obama didn't have the FBI vet his nominees because the nominees were corrupt. Trump isn't having the FBI vet his nominees because the FBI is corrupt. Yeah, right. But anyways, yeah, I'm sure they're all pure as the wind-driven snow. By the way, we are having a major snowstorm right now. So I'm going to be probably now working a lot in the office now that I can't do anything else. So definitely going to be paying more attention to what's happening, and it just seems that it's perfectly timed, as we always say, for all these things to start happening. Explosions in Terapol, and Lviv regions. Now, like I said, there's a lot going on right now in Ukraine. A lot. It says attention due to the massive attack by the Russian Federation using cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and unmanned aerial vehicles on objects located among others. Let's go ahead and look at that really quick. I'll just read it to you. Oh, I gotta translate it. Hold on, translate this thing. It says attention due to the massive attack by Russian Federation using cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and unmanned aerial vehicles on objects located, among others, in western Ukraine, Polish and Allied aircraft have begun operating in our airspace. This is in Ukraine. So now you have Polish and, oh my gosh. So you've got Polish and NATO aircraft now inside of Ukraine with Russian MiGs also launching missiles inside of Ukrainian airspace. So are we going to see dogfights between NATO and Russia now? Is that what we're watching happen? In accordance with the applicable procedures, the operational commander of the RSZ activated all available forces and resources at his disposal. The on-duty fighter pairs were scrambled, and the ground-based air defense and radar reconnaissance systems reached the highest state of readiness. The steps taken are aimed at ensuring safety in areas bordering the threatened areas. This is in Poland. They're trying to protect the Polish border. The operational command of the armed forces is monitoring the current situation, and its subordinate forces and resources remain in full readiness for immediate response. This was just posted 9:05. This was about an hour ago. Let's see if I can translate some of these. Your entire defense system is full of holes. Unofficially, there are reports of a dozen or so Russian drones crashing in Poland. Oh, geez. This is not good at all. These are all posts from people there in Russia and Ukraine. I'm translating some of them. Let's see. Oh, is this Poland? Again, the fallen ones kill some Pole. It looks like a bomb that went off in Poland now. Uh-oh. So is this Russian weapons now exploding inside of Poland? Uh-oh. Okay, well, this looks like a major, major, major escalation. Around 10 cruise missiles are left flying over Ukraine. This was at 9:48, which 9:50, that would have been about 30 minutes ago. Russia attacks electricity generation and transmission facilities across Ukraine. Here's another report that's unrelated, but this also is very troubling. But U.S. health officials now report that the first case of a new form of mpox in man who had visited Africa is now in the U.S., right? I wonder where it's at. Let's see. Where is it at? They want my cookies. I will not give them my cookies. Sorry. Bye-bye now. Let me see if the archive version will work. And just give them the archive part of it. I was watching Nacho Libre the other night, and you know, he's in the church and he's making prayers, you know, because he has to repent for having gone to see the luchadors. And so he's in there praying, and he's trying to find out if he should get a sign from God to fight for the orphans, because the orphans need him. And he's fighting for something good and noble, right? Not for vainglory. And so as he's praying, all the candles are all lit everywhere. One of the candles falls on his gown, and it starts to catch him on fire. And as he's praying, he says his whole back end is on fire. His whole back end is on fire, and he says, "I smell cookies." Jack Black, man, he's pretty funny sometimes, even though he is a Satanist. I think he is. Everybody says he is. I don't know if he is or not. But so it says here, this form of mpox is where? Northern California. So if you live in California, you've got mpox, a new breed, a new strain floating around, probably has been passed on to people that were on the subway or the busway or the airplane, and now it's being transmitted all over Northern California. Terrific. That's why people here kick out the California. They can't handle the weather here anyway. It gets down to 20 below. You don't want to come up too far north, guys. And you know, if you do, just stay over there near the coast in Washington or Oregon. You don't want to get where it's really cold and grizzly bears hang out. It's very dangerous. Very dangerous. No, most people that move here where I'm at, they end up going back. Yeah, it's too dangerous. Very, very cold. Arctic weather. You just want to stay where you're at. And let's see what else we got here. Let's go ahead and look at one other channel here. See what they're saying here. Let's see. Okay, so we got some video here. I guess we can look at some of the videos here. Let's see. Oh boy, that was a big one. These are some of the pictures coming out. I think this is the MiGs. These are the MiGs. MiGs. Russian MiGs inside of Ukraine. Oh no, that's a rocket. That was a rocket. Rocket flies. Okay, so that was a rocket. Sorry about that. I thought this was the MiG video. So North Korea is supplying Russia with long-range rocket and artillery systems.
Тут главное не дрейф.
What is this? The sights and the sounds of war. Look at this. Just complete obliteration of the Ukrainian forces. People are just being killed like crazy. They say that young men are even hard to find now in Ukraine. They're all dead. Most of them are dead. They're recruiting old people, women, to try to fill the ranks. They're not going to have a country after all is said and done. And who's to blame? Who's to blame for that? I mean, they should have done some kind of peace deal, but way back when they could have. But America just wants to occupy the attention of Russia with the proxy there and send them into harm's way, which ultimately is going to backfire on us. Which it's already backfiring on us, actually. Sad to say. Let's see what else we got here. I guess that's about it. Just get ready for the Iranian thing to happen tomorrow or maybe the next day, because around 3 o'clock, it's going to turn, the clock will turn over to the 18th in Iran. And that's when all the NOTAMs begin. And notice to air missions or air airmen. Some say airmen, but it's air missions actually. So these notices are going to have a small window for all these missiles to be launched from the different locations, and they're all bases. They're all missile bases. So get ready to see some action, some big time movement. Probably not. And I told you guys today, I said it's not probably going to, there's a possibility this could be the big one, Elizabeth, and that there could be some movement in Russia. And look what's going on. They're not waiting for Trump. Believe me. In fact, they want to cause as much chaos here in America. And, it's to their advantage, even though they know Trump is a guy that capitalizes off of chaos. This might be their plan because they probably want Trump to just slide right in. Maximum amount of fear in the public would cause a smooth as silk transition. Smooth as silk. So you just let this thing blow up as bad as it can be and possibly just hanging by a hair's breadth away from nuclear annihilation, possibly of World War III. And then you see Trump come in and save the day. Bring a peace that's going to be, bringing many to their knees in worship. Or is he going to bring complete and utter chaos? I mean, it's not Trump himself. It's all the forces that are being marshaled all around. But Trump is kind of, how they say in the queue where Trump says he's the storm. He is the storm. Maybe he is orchestrating all this from behind the scenes, or at least he's taking advantage of it, and he knows how to channel it. He's very good at channeling, I noticed. Very good channeler. So can he channel World War III effectively? Maybe he'll be empowered by the powers of this age, the powers that be, the powers of darkness might, and that's one thing that I heard somebody say. This mysterious voice I was listening to the other day that everybody loves to find out who this mysterious voice, Mike from around the world. How many of you guys know who he is? Well, a lot of people put stock in what he says because he sounds so mysterious, but we happen to know more about the background. But he said, and this is how you hedge your bets, well, Christians just got to pray for Trump, cover him with their prayers, otherwise the devil might take over. Well, he probably understands more than people like, the people whose show he happens to frequent, because a lot of people like to listen just to Mike. And so he understands better than most that there's a possibility that Trump, but he don't want to say it. See, he doesn't want to say this character here that we're talking about is in the midst of, potentially being, and he said it. I didn't say it. He said it, potentially, taken over by the devil. But we got to cover him with our prayers so that doesn't happen. But if it does, well, he's a prophet. He's a prophet because, he predicted it. It's a good way to, it's kind of like the way psychics do it. They all kind of seem like they've got some kind of great insights and intel. And when you really understand and scratch the surface, know a little history and look behind the scenes and the curtain there, where they're coming from. And, some of the people that were there from the very beginning, what's really going down there. It's all lies. I don't care how mysterious it sounds. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just going to tell you the reality of where truth is. It's very clear what's going on here. As these events unfold, the more we'll see it. It will be available for all to see instead of those who are just kind of trying to explain it because people still don't get it. They're still caught up in the left-right paradigm. They don't want to see it. They don't want to believe it, and it bothers them when you try to tell them. Well, what's going to make it happen for both sides? Those who are preaching the gospel and trying to get that message to those who the Lord is calling, they're going to see it when it all goes into chaos. Very clear. But also those who are going to be blinded and deceived are going to be in mass following the Pied Piper who's going to promise them security and peace in the midst of this chaos that's beginning to unfold. And it's going to get bad. Just saying. It's going to get bad, but it is biblical. And everything that's happening is according to a biblical timeline. And we've been kind of chronicling that for you very clearly for those who are listening. But a lot of people don't listen. That's the problem. They don't understand. They don't know how to listen. They don't know how to hear. They're listening, but they're not really hearing. They're looking and watching and seeing, but they're not really seeing or perceiving. Their hearts become callous, and they're looking with their third eye in this fallen world they're trying to, navigate through with some help from their idols. And those idols are what people are depending on right now. They're looking to their idols for their help. Just like the children of Israel in the wilderness, looking for the idol, the golden calf. I don't know where Moses is. God doesn't seem to be helping us. He doesn't seem to be here. I don't know what's going on. Let's just make our own idol. Trust in it. So the golden calf, the golden boy, just popped out of the fire, and everybody's got their hopes and are putting their bets that everything's going to be just fine. And I was listening to Jordan Peterson talk about the personality of Trump, and he was analyzing it from like a psychological, clinical kind of point of view, or critique, I should say, of his psychological makeup. And he was defining all the things that he sees. I'm going to have to go back over that because it's very interesting. But I understand what he's saying, and I do get it, the why people are following this. But there is a deception there. And it's very important to understand how that works. Biblically speaking, it's very clear. You can see it. If you've ever had experiences with demonic activity in people and had situations where you had power plays, and it's almost like you have the ability that God would give you a gift, just like the devil gifts his servants, because anyone that's outside of Christ becomes a puppet and a tool of the devil, whether they realize it or not, indirectly or directly. They become a tool, and they're used for a purpose, a higher purpose, ultimately that is unknown most of the time to the adherent, the one that's following the higher self or the self-actualized part of their being that they think is them, or whatever, even if they're spiritualists and they think it is some kind of ascended master that's guiding them, they are completely clueless to what's actually happening to them. Like I said, they're being sucked out into the deep by some undercurrent, riptide that's going to take them far, far away. And they're not going to be able to get back. So what happens? Well, you pray for people to see. You pray for their eyes to be open. You warn them. You tell them what Scripture teaches. And you rebuke and correct in righteous judgment according to God's word. When you see things askew and awry and they're not plumb, they're not lining up with Scripture. There's people that are twisting the Scriptures, adding to the Scriptures, taking away from the Scriptures. And you have to have sound doctrine and refute it. You have to call it out. And you also confirm sound doctrine and you demonstrate it. The key to every great minister and teacher and preacher and prophet or apostle, whatever gift that God has put upon them, is that they demonstrate the kingdom. They demonstrate it. That means they have signs and wonders. They heal people, and they bring a true salvation that isn't some flash in the pan. Like some kind of Pharisee. It says, Jesus said, they go out over land and sea to convert one soul, and they make him 10 times the child of hell that they are. Well, what kind of disciples are you making? Are you making children of hell? I mean, people that are totally, completely clueless? I know that sounds harsh, but are they completely clueless and watered down just like the minister that supposedly baptized them? That's filled with pride and arrogance and lust and greed and, caught up in fame and trying to get name recognition. You want to follow leaders like that? Oh, but he's great because he's got a great, he's funny. He's character. He makes me laugh. So, there's a lot of comedians on TV that can make you laugh too, but he's a Christian. Okay. Great. Maybe he's a comedian. Christian comedian? The problem is people don't look at things in context, and they don't remember. They don't have a long memory. You got to look at history. You have to understand the ebbs and the flows of a person in their life, and look at the context, the long. And sometimes you can, I think there's people that can take little snippets, and this is where I think the Lord comes in, and they have discernment. They're able to see clearly who that person is. Other people, it takes a long time. It's like they got to go through a bunch of garbage, get knocked upside the head a few times until they finally wake up. It's kind of like a person that is living with an abusive spouse or a husband or something, and she just keeps getting beat and beat and beat, and she doesn't leave. She doesn't separate, and she just keeps submitting to it, thinking that it's her fault, and eventually there comes a crisis moment where somebody intervenes, or she almost gets killed, or she finally is fed up and gets out, and then the dawn begins. Then the whole, view, the reality begins to dawn on this person, to be able to see through it after they spent some time away. And they realize how much of a blinded soul they have been, how they enabled, how they, were a part of their own abuse by allowing it to go on. They should have, figured it out a lot sooner. But some people have the discernment to be able to see it right from the very beginning, and they would put an end to it in a slippity slap second. But some people just don't get it. They're very slow. And I don't know, maybe they're not praying, maybe they're not they're not hearing from God. I don't know what it is. Some people have the ability to hear and understand and know something very soon and very quick. your first impression. You figured it out. You know where this person is. You've had some experience in the world. Maybe you've got life experiences, God experiences where God has shown you things about people. Maybe you have discernment that is truly from the above, the wisdom that's from above. That's the key, because you're dealing with principalities and powers many times as well when you're talking about things like violence and manipulation and control and people that are just wanting to use and abuse people. That's demonic. And how do you overcome something like that unless you're filled with the Spirit? And unless you're totally, completely set free from that by God. So I pray that people out there listening to me that may be caught up in experiences like this are set free from the sin that facilitates demonic activity in their environment, in their relationships, in their own hearts, whether they're the abuser or the one that's being abused. Because ultimately everybody's a victim of evil in some way from the fallen nature. But, really call out to God to set you free is what I'm asking, what I'm telling you to do. So, and then we see what's going on with these countries doing this to each other, the way things are happening and unfolding in the world. And this is all biblical prophecy that was foresaw. A lot of what we're seeing happening right now, I believe, is prophetic fulfillments now unfolding right before our very eyes. And God knows what's in the heart of these nations and the powers and principalities that are planning and plotting for the ultimate battle of the ages, really, that culminates at a certain point in history, which I believe to be happening as we speak. It's all lining up with prophecy. Okay, so what else does it say here? I wonder why they blurred it out. Let's see what this guy has to say. Yep. Supposedly Netanyahu's home got firebombed, they say, by protesters, but others are saying that it was an actual missile that targeted Netanyahu's house, that somehow hit its target. I don't know if that's true or the other's true, but this guy happens to think that it has something to do with protesters. But other reports are saying that it is a missile that came in. Anyways, so there you go. A little update just on what's happening over there in Ukraine. Time for sleep. Everybody ready to go back to bed? By the way, I did go over to check out. I talked to you earlier today about the Hellfire Club that was preceding the American Revolution. Actually, it was happening even after, but Benjamin Franklin went over there and was a part of that club. And I know he was trying to negotiate some kind of reconciliation between the Brits and the Americans. And he was involved in high-level consultations with government there. But in the process, he was hanging out with the aristocrats. And they have like what we call the Bohemian Grove. Even way back then, they had like their own Bohemian Grove, where they did all these crazy rituals and had debauchery that just gave them a notorious, reputation for anybody that was a part of this Hellfire Club. It actually ultimately undone. It kind of affected a lot of the adherents that were a part of it. But supposedly it was just a gentleman's club, and it was something that was kind of cool and fun, and they would do, mock ceremonies. It was all about, making fun of Christians, but it was also false worship to the devil. Supposedly it wasn't real, but this is what the Bohemian Grove does as well. And it's these high-level, government leaders that were involved in this. And supposedly Benjamin Franklin went over there quite often. Anyway, I went to go look at a YouTube video on an actual tour of the Hellfire Caves. They moved it to a cave in an underground cave system. And basically, they take you through a tour of it. It's supposedly haunted. Some woman died in there for some reason, and I'm not sure exactly how she died. I'm wondering if she was sacrificed or something. But from what they are doing and all the mock sacrifices and ceremonies to the devil, you have to wonder, why was Benjamin Franklin continually frequenting this place? What was going on with Benjamin Franklin? Anyways, there's a whole bunch of write-ups they have a whole history as you go through this tour, and it's really creepy, but I put up a few articles about it. I had said that it was Sir Francis Bacon, but it wasn't actually Sir Francis Bacon. It was Sir Francis Hound, or Dash something, Dash Hound or something like that. Sir Francis Bacon was way in it, another 100 years previous to Benjamin Franklin, or at least 100 years. But he was a part of that Rosicrucian movement that birthed the actual Masons, right? We're talking about Sir Francis Bacon. And they think that Sir Francis Bacon may have been actually Shakespeare, or his group of writers was actually Shakespeare. And that Shakespeare really wasn't one person. How many of you guys know about that? Sir Francis Bacon. But anyways, that had nothing to do with Benjamin Franklin. I had gotten the two names mixed up. But anyways, it's very interesting history. You can go back and check it out. We did post some links and articles that chronicle this, and it is a fact that Benjamin Franklin was a part of this. So it's there. It's like the British Bohemian Grove, if you will, but it was all the way back in the mid 1700s going on, and they were doing some crazy stuff way back then. Boy, I'll tell you, those aristocrats were doing some pretty, demonic things. But anyways, just so you know, yeah, Bohemian Grove is a real thing. Yeah, it is. You're talking about real sacrifices, yeah, and real. Well, that's what they were doing there. They were having orgies. People were saying that it was a literal, they were doing demonic things there. It wasn't just fake. But they still to this day say it was all in fun and mockery, and it was kind of role play. But they had orgies. There was, someone that was killed down there. Not sure. They didn't explain how she died. I'm not sure, but she supposedly haunts the caves. There's another man that haunts the caves because he had his heart stolen when he died. He had his heart put in an urn and somebody stole it. And so they say he's down there looking for his heart. He was one of the guys that, I guess, founded it or something. It's very bizarre. They say it's like the most haunted place in England, the Hellfire Caves. But just a little interesting story in connection to American history. That's the reason I brought it up. But anyways, God bless all you out there. I'll be talking to you again early in the morning, I guess. Not early, but we'll be doing our devotionals as we always do. Make sure you're connected to us on Patreon. And we are alerting our Patreon community. You can be subscribed there free. Get connected so that you get your alerts. Whether it's Telegram or Patreon or locals, make sure you're connected because I expect the crap to hit the fan here any moment. And I think it's going to happen the next 2 days with Israel and Iran. We will be covering that live when it does happen. We will be streaming many and multiple feeds. And you'll be getting all the updated information in real time from all of our sources, whether it's Ukrainian or Russian or Israeli or, did I say Iran or any of the sources that we look at. We've got lots of feeds that we have bookmarked, and we check out all the forums and all the social media, and we have things sent to us directly. So we will definitely be on top of everything that happens. So make sure you're tuning in when that does happen, and that you get your alerts. You got to have instant alerts enabled. whether it's through YouTube doesn't always do it, but make sure you got it subscribed on YouTube. It's always good to be having a redundancy and a backup. In case you miss one, you're going to get the other, right? So subscribe to us on Telegram, subscribe to us on Locals or Rumble. Make sure on Rumble you have to enable instant notifications. So a lot of people don't know this, especially boomers. They don't figure out a lot of the technical aspects of internet and social media. So you got to kind of guide them. I would say boomers, what are they, around 65-ish? Our average listener, and I've looked at our demographics, it's around 55. Well, 55 to 65 is our biggest demographic. The second is 45 to 55. So I'm just going to say you're on the brink of being a boomer, so you got to know how to do it. You go into your settings if you're on Rumble, or go up and hit the button again, even on YouTube, where it says all notifications or daily. There's a daily and there's an instant notification feature on Rumble. Make sure you enable the instant. And that way it'll send it directly to your email. And if your email is connected to your mobile device, you'll get a push notification. You'll know we're live. That way you won't miss the live broadcast. So many people tell me, I always miss the live. I don't know, how do I miss the live? Well, you got to get the push notification. Have to have it set up somehow on your cell phone. You can do that through email. And also Telegram. Telegram is the best way to get a push notification on your mobile device because it's right directly connected to your phone. And if your internet goes out, people have told me they appreciate me telling them this because when their power went out and their internet was down, they still had cell phone service and they were still able to get the news on Telegram because Telegram will use your mobile, data, and you'll still be connected through cell phone towers to the internet. And you can get all your news updates right there on Telegram. So make sure you have a backup of internet right there on your cell phone. And Telegram is the best way to do it, but some people are like, well, I don't want them to know everything about me. Well, they know everything about you anyway. I'm telling you, it doesn't really matter at this point. The AI has chronicled even your private emails. Believe me, they've searched the whole of the internet and have it all in databases. They know everything about you, okay? So there's no sense or need to try to hide. Just get Telegram, put it on there, and then start getting your instant notifications. Amen? All right. Thank you for all you do too, Angela Curran. God bless you. And Timothy Graff, much love and prayers as well back at you. More things happening under our feet than above. Yes, that's true. Lots going on. Give you a call on ham radio if the grid goes down. All right. You got to have an understanding of how ham works to use the repeaters to go long distance. People still say, I like ham because I can just listen to my local. It's more of intelligence and knowing what's going on. Having a ham radio is the ability to hear what's going on. Same thing with a shortwave radio. You might want to have one of those shortwave radios so you can tune in and find out what's going on in different parts of the world. I was picking up on that little shortwave radio that we have. I was able to pick up people from China and South America. I was getting all kinds of channels from all over the world. It bounces off the atmosphere, so you can find out what's going on if something definitely shuts down the grid, because I expect that to happen too. Klaus Schwab's already told us it's going to happen, so it's going to be worse than COVID, right? The lockdowns and everything that happened there. You're talking about some pretty major things going down here, guys. So you need to be prepared in every way. Have every little backup plan that you have. Think about the worst case scenario and plan for it. You got to plan for the worst case scenario. And that's the key. Anyways, God bless. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. God bless you. Have a great night. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. Make his face shine upon you, give you grace and mercy and peace and a good sleep.